Welcome to Between the Lines, the Five Towns Jewish Times podcast, where newsmakers unpack the stories shaping the Jewish community.
Hi, everyone. It's Larry Gordon back at Between the Lines, the electronic version of the Five Towns Jewish Times, trying to stay pace with our advanced technological times and bringing you stuff that you don't have to turn pages on to be able to read or listen to and so on down the line. Our guest on this episode is Steve Savitsky, a name known really widely around the Jewish communities around the United States, lives out on the Five Towns on Long Island, and is a creative, innovative personality, former president of the Orthodox Union, and amongst other involvements, and most recently introduced a very exciting project. I guess also, even it ends up on my cell phone, in my WhatsApp group. I guess it could also be global, but it's called Mitzvah Opportunity, and we discussed it and actually did an article about it a few months ago. Steve, if you don't mind, just explain to us how it got started, what it's about, instead of me doing
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you very much, Larry, for having me on your program. It's a great program, and for having the wonderful newspaper that now you can get in Florida. When I was in Florida a few weeks ago, there it was, the Five Towns Jewish paper, and it's a wonderful thing. It's great.
All right.
Everybody can see it now.
Great.
Anyway, as you said, during the introduction, that I've been involved in the Jewish community for many, many decades in many capacities, and always looking to find ways of helping the Jewish people, the Jewish world, and so on and so forth. And that also includes global things, anti-Semitism, many, many things that we could discuss at a different time. But really, what I really want to focus in on during this session is really something that I started about 2 years ago. And I'll tell you why I started it. So it's called Mitzvah Opportunities. And I started it because several years ago, I was in Israel. And like all of us, when we go to Israel, we always want to give tzedakah. But who do we give it to? I mean, when it comes to organizations and yeshivos, places like that, there's no shortage. People will come, you'll meet them. And all of us have our favorite places that we give money to. But I like to give money to aniyim, people who really could use it. I have this feeling that these people are unfortunately lost, and they don't really have that many places to go. And so I always like to give money to aniyim. So I asked a nephew of mine who lives in Israel, Michael Wolshin, his name is. I asked him, I said, is there a reliable place that I can give tzedakah? I know, because you never know. When people come to you, you never know. So he said, yes, there's an incredible organization started by a person named Donnie Fine. Donnie Fine lives in Ramat Beit Shemesh. He's a tzaddik. He's an incredible, incredible person. And he started something called Mitzvah Opportunities. And basically, you get in his WhatsApp, and then on a regular basis, whether it's once a week or twice a week or maybe once a month, whatever it is, he will send out like a baskol and information and tell you about a family or families that he's collecting for. And everybody knows that he's a person of honesty and ethics and morality, and therefore he's done very, very well. And so I started to do that, and every week or so I would get another email and always send them a check, depending on what it was. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. And I always said to myself, the concept of jealousy is not a good concept in Jewish life or in life in general, but it is good if you're doing it for good reasons. And I would always tell my wife, who I'm jealous of the most? Donnie Fine. Yeah. This guy has chuyots that are unbelievable. Yeah. And my wife said, okay. And I said, okay, but I don't like to just leave things as they are. And so it kind of haunted me for a while. And finally, about 2 years ago, after meeting with him, talking to him, getting some advice, each doing it maybe a little different, but basically using his technique, I started this thing which I call Mitzvah Opportunities, Aniyei Ircha, in the Five Towns and Far Rockaway. And the idea behind it is people who live in our community who just don't have a safety net. They don't have anyone to turn to. If, God forbid, something happens to them, they don't have anyone to turn to. And what are the categories of these people? Who are these people? First of all, they're you and me. They're everybody. And none of them, one thing I guarantee you, none of them ever started out and thought they would ever be in a situation where they would actually have to come to people and ask for money. None of them. That's the common denominator. But what happens in life? Life throws a lot of curveballs sometimes. And so for several reasons, maybe someone had a business that failed. Maybe someone had a job that they lost and now they're unemployed. Maybe it was a death in the family, God forbid. Maybe it was sickness in the family. Maybe it was a child that wasn't well. Maybe it was a divorce. So many different kind of things like that that can happen to people, and these people just don't have where to turn. We have wonderful organizations in our community. Don't get me wrong, Achiezer and the Leon Mayer Fund and the
Oh,
Davis
yeah,
Fund, and yeah, great things, great
right.
things.
Hmm.
But they just don't have that many places to turn. Also, of course, what they do with divorced women and so on, Kafei Nisharim, but they don't have anywhere to turn. And so I said, these are the people that I want to capture. I know they're out there. There's no question about that. And I want to see if I can help them on a weekly basis. And so I started very, very small. I
Hmm.
just did an email blast to all the people that I knew. And I said, this is what I'd like to do. You don't have to promise me any money. You don't have to give me a dime. But every single week, I'm going to send you one family that unfortunately fits those criteria because we are the payer of last resort. We're not the payer of first resort. I try to go only after family, friends, other people have helped people out, and now they're really stuck and they really need help. That's when they come to me. And so I started doing it, and lo and behold, Baruch Hashem, a lot of people really decided that this is something they want to be a
Hmm.
part of because they really felt, and I tell people all the time, if you want to join my WhatsApp group, you know what? Even if you don't want to give me any money at all, you don't even feel like giving any money, read it because the way I do it, every Thursday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, we put out the ask. And then usually by 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12, maybe the latest, we raise anywhere from 15 to $18,000 from maybe 225, 230 people. And I tell people, even if you don't want to give me a penny, read the thing on Thursday morning and then go home and say a special bracha for the life you have, for the life that we have, how blessed we are, how fortunate we are. And therefore, I think that's what happens. And so I started it, and now we've done over 70 raises every single week. I've done over 70. This week will be the 71st raise. We've raised probably over $1 million. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people in the community. And it's been an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing because people come to me, and Baruch Hashem, I've done a lot of different things in the world. But this thing, when people see me on Central Avenue, I don't even know who they are. They
Yeah.
come to me and say, wow, I look forward to getting it on Thursday because it just makes me realize how blessed I am and how I can help somebody. And here, the nice part about this is you read about the story. It's not like you're giving the money to a fund and then the rabbi distributes it. You read every single week about one family. It's 3 paragraphs. That's all it is. It's not more than that. And if it's something that really moves you, you'll give me money. If it's not, you
Let's
don't have to.
let's
That's what
let's
it is.
let's break down the mechanics of it a little bit because I also
Sure.
get it. I also get it every Thursday morning, and I tend to read it. And I see sometimes the numbers, aside from how you find cases, if you don't mind me calling it that you want to raise money for. I know from what I've read that people approach you. Maybe it's a rabbi of a shul or a next door neighbor of someone that thinks they could use your service or your program, Mitzvah Opportunity, to help somebody out. But how do you decide on who to choose? Number one, what type of situation are you most likely drawn to? Number one, and how did you determine that? Whatever your group is probably about 1,000 people now, or close to it, if not over that, maybe.
Over 1,100 right now.
Over 11. So and there must be, you must know what the average donation is. It's difficult to
Right.
calculate because it moves very fast. I think the people tend to calculate to want to know what the average donation is on a matter like this. But how did you land on the idea of between $12,000 and $18,000, generally speaking?
Well,
You
okay,
know,
let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. First of all, who calls me? Rabbis of shuls, rebbitzins of shuls, social workers, educators, principals of schools, other people like that, and people who know. Okay, people who also know. I know people in the community. They know of other people, and they call me. And so basically, that's when the due diligence starts. I don't start anything until I do my due diligence, which is. I wouldn't say, I can't spend hundreds of hours, but I spend time. First of all, I speak to whoever the source is. I always try to get 2 or 3 references. And if I can, I like to also speak to the people themselves. I'd like to understand what they're doing, how did they get in this situation, what happened, et cetera, et cetera. Because what I'm not looking to do, I'm not looking to raise money for people who that's their primary goal in life. That, they feel, okay, the community has to support me. I'm looking to raise money for people who unfortunately had an event in their life. And hopefully with this money, we could do two or three things. Either one, first we can give them some nachas ruach. So a little bit, so they have a little nachas ruach, they have a little breathing room. But two, I also like to find situations where we can really help. In other words, maybe it's somebody who lost a job and now is going to find another job. But if we could help them for the next 4 months or 5 months, it's going to make all the difference in the world. Or somebody who, they need some help. They need some medical help, whatever it is. I try to find situations where we could really help, not just giving money for the sake of giving money. Not that it's bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not exactly why I do it. And unfortunately, I'm inundated. Unfortunately, I'm inundated with requests. I have so many requests; it's just unbelievable. And I try to be very careful about who I take and do my due diligence. Baruch Hashem, as I said, we've been successful. How do we came up with the money that we needed? Look, I wanted to give something meaningful. If you don't, we live in an expensive community. It costs money, to live in our community. If somebody can't pay their mortgage, it could be $4,000 a month. So, I can't just raise $5,000. I wanted to come up with something that's really meaningful. I hope if we're really successful and we could raise even more money, get more people to join, maybe I could up it. Maybe I could make my average donation even $18,000. I'd love to get to the point where I could actually give people $20,000 because I guarantee you this much. All the people I give money to, they need it desperately. And even sometimes when I give somebody money and they have an extra $3,000 in their pocket, you have no idea. It's like they won the lottery. They tell me I've never had $3,000 of unencumbered funds because they just haven't had it. So, I wish people could be with me on Thursday afternoon when I call the people and I tell them we were successful in the race. I'm telling you, I cry almost every single week when I tell these people. Sometimes it's an almana, sometimes it's someone who's divorced, somebody is just a nice person. So many. By the way, there actually are 2 or 3 people. Thank God we actually raised money for them, and today they contribute. They contribute themselves, and they feel so good about themselves.
The other night, when I was watching the State of the Union, and President Trump was talking about his big, beautiful plan and how taxes are going to go down, the thought of what you do popped into my head because he pointed out a woman in the galley who said that she's going to now be saving $5,000. And I was thinking to myself, 5,000 what? 5,000 a week, 5,000 a month, and then he says $5,000 a year. She's going to be less taxes, $5,000 a year. Now, you and I know Jewish life in general, not just in the 5 towns. In any Jewish community, $5,000 is not going to make a big difference. So apparently, you understand that. And of course, I think there's a big difference probably between 12 or 15,000 or 25,000. Do people ask you specifically for an amount because that they need to fill in certain a financial void in their life?
Yeah, many times they do, but most times I calculate it on my own. In other words, like we're going to do a raise this week for somebody who is just between jobs, but the person is finishing a degree in June or July. They actually have a job lined up, and he needs about $3,700 a month to pay his mortgage and his electricity. So basically, we're going to raise almost $15,000. But I try to be careful about it. I mean, I want to make sure that we're raising money for the right thing. I mean, sometimes, we've raised money once we gave a yeshiva, a small yeshiva, that there was a kid who went there for 3 years that didn't pay a dime. And the principal said to me, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. So I said, okay, we'll see what we can do. I mean, people, you can't believe it. Here's the thing that's important I want people to understand. First of all, the money only goes to people who live in our community. What's our community? Yes, it's the 5 towns, Far Rockaway, Bayswater, Long Beach. Also, I haven't done Oceanside, but I would consider Oceanside. But that's basically, it's our catchment area, okay? And second of all, I'm also pretty careful, although I will take money from other people. It's not really my goal. I only want to raise money from people in our community. Baruch Hashem, Larry, as you know, we have a very affluent community. We don't have to go outside our community to raise this kind of money. So if I get a call, and I do, from other people in other communities, people calling me from Great Neck, from Flatbush, from Queens, and I said, you know what? Do it in your community. Start this in your community. So that's what I try to do. So yes, there are a few people here or there who give me money, who are part of the plan because they want to, and I'm not going to ever turn anybody down. But that's really not the ikar of what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get people in our community.
So yeah, it's a wonderful idea, obviously. But do you have any indication that other communities are, ready to emulate what you've done here and what Mr. Fine has done in Eretz Yisrael?
Well, everybody has good ideas. All Jews have great ideas, and everybody out there could tell me 100 ways I could run my organization better than I do it. But
Yeah,
I tell them, go ahead, do it. Just do it,
yeah,
like Nike says. Just
yeah,
do it. You're in Queens, just do it.
yeah,
Listen, it's a lot of
yeah.
work. It takes a lot of responsibility, and it also takes money because, obviously I fund this myself. All the expenses, all expenses are covered by me, except for the 3% that's charged by the Chesed Fund for doing the computer work and so on and so forth. The money comes in every single Thursday, 9 o'clock by 12. We have the money. By the way, the average donation is probably around $55, $60. That's what the average donation is. The average week, we have 225 to 275 people. So we raise the money on Thursday. The Chesed Fund gives it to us by Monday or Tuesday. By Wednesday, these people have the money in their hand, either with a check or a Zelle or whatever, but they literally have the money in their hand and they can take care of whatever they have to take care of.
So you're talking about 5 days after the money's raised,
Yeah, exactly right.
the recipient,
Exactly.
I guess, the money goes to an organization that you've set up
Well,
separately.
it's a 501c3, but the
Hmm.
Chesed Fund does all the computer work. You put your money in, and then basically, they charge us at 3%. Unless you want to give more, whatever you want to give, you don't have to. But they charge us 3%, and
Hmm.
that's the only cost. That's the only cost that we have. Everything else is covered by me. Period.
So have you analyzed what different types of donors are drawn to? Are you ever going to? Sometimes you can target your donors if you know they're interested in a certain type of raise, as you call it, and you could probably target 200 people that are drawn to this type of situation in someone's life, and boom, without sitting around waiting, you could raise the money probably in a half hour.
Yeah, I probably could. Right now, I don't have the sophistication to do that. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but maybe I could. But right now, I'm happy with what I'm doing. And, the only thing now is I'm getting people now, Baruch Hashem, who are coming to me and saying, listen, here's the X amount of dollars. Do me a favor every single week. Just put it in. I may be traveling. I may be away. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going to be. So if you want to do that, so we have quite a few people now who actually do that. And I say to them, "Don't you want to read what I say every week?" They say, "No. I know what you're doing. You don't. It doesn't have to." As far as what attracts people, listen. Every story is a sad story. And every time I write the stories up and I speak to these people, I just can't believe. You know what I can't believe? I can't believe how cheerful these people are, how optimistic they are. I see people with so much money, Larry, you know better than anyone else about people in our community. Big houses don't mean you're happy.
Yeah.
Okay, these people, they are sameach
Yeah.
bechelko.
Yeah.
They really are,
Yeah.
and they and
Yeah.
they have bitachon in Hashem. They're inspirational to me. They really are. You know.
So when a person is in that kind of matzav, so to speak, what did they do before you came into existence? Well, I mean, I understand there's an organization, Kanfei Nisharim, that you mentioned, where widows, that the number of widows reach out to, that the Dov Walowitz over Shalom, I believe,
Yeah, of
started,
course, of
and
course.
that Moshe Smith took over now and runs. But what do people in other communities do when they run into this kind of situation?
Well, there's no place that I know of where you could just get 15 or $20,000 the way I'm giving it to them. I mean, basically, even look, the rabbi's discretionary fund. Listen, they maybe they'll give them $1,000, $3,000. They're not
Yeah.
going to give them this kind of money. They really don't have any other place to go. Honestly, that's why I did it, because I think it fills a void that's out there. And also, we also try to be very, very discreet. Every one of the people that we raise money for, I'm telling you, they will tell me, please, I don't want people to know. And I said, don't worry about it. Listen, sometimes it hurts us because if I told the real story of everything that's going on in these people's lives, it would be a tearjerker and people would give more money. But I don't want to identify that because people are always trying to figure out, oh, I know who it is. And I don't want people to
Yeah.
know who it is. I don't want people to
Yeah.
know who it is. But, people are very careful and we try to be very, very, very discreet in how we write things up. But I really think we're filling a void. And also, the great part is that the people themselves who are giving the money, I mean, thank me. for doing it. And I love that because you know what? The people say to me, I love to give tzedakah. Now I feel good. Every single week I know. Erev Shabbos, Thursday, it comes. I know I'm giving money. I said, listen, maybe that week you did better. You got more commission. Maybe you got a bonus. Maybe things went well. Maybe you have teenage kids. They came home and they were smiling, whatever. So, whatever it is that week, if you want to give more, give more.
So what do you think would happen if you expanded the area? Jewish community really, I always, people like forget, example, Florida to New York, the same newspaper circulates in both Florida. And no one ever says to me, why do you send the 5 Towns Jewish Times newspaper down to Florida? Because I found a long time ago, there's no borders in the Orthodox Jewish community, especially. Everybody knows everyone, knows what's happening to them, if it's good or if it's bad. Everyone knows about it. So, I know you have to be reasonable and put up certain, gedarim and boundaries to what you could do so you could handle it. But probably easy for you with a little bit of additional help to go national, probably on
Look,
a much bigger level.
you're right, but I like the concept of ani and yerchem. I really think that's important to me. So, personally, I'm not going to do it. But as I said, other people want to do it. I'll teach them. I'll teach them how to do it.
Okay, good. So we'll put your contact information up on the screen, your
Of
email
course.
address, and so people could maybe you could help them start. Although I know there's a long-standing debate in the community. Go off a little bit of a tangent on what aniyah ircha means. Some people say, if you go to why are you having a mere as an example, a mere yeshiva Shabbos in the 5 towns when so many people aren't paying tuition in school? So people say that, listen, if I went to a certain yeshiva, if I went to yeshiva in Lakewood, if I went to yeshiva in Mir and Yerushalayim, so it's like a community because I'm part of the community. That comes with me as part of the community. But I think I get a sense that you're talking about physically located communally.
Absolutely. The people who we raise money for live in our community or sometimes work in our community, but most times live in the community.
So that really is a great explanation, and I think it was a little bit mysterious if it pops up into your WhatsApp group. Like we get WhatsApps all day long from all directions. It's mostly people that I think most people get the WhatsApps from people that want to give you money at very high interest. That's I think the most popular type of.
Oh yeah,
that's the most
Larry,
popular type of communication.
you're getting the highest interest in the world by giving to my WhatsApp.
No, that's a great thing, and you're Steve Savitsky is the founder of Mitzvah Opportunity, and this podcast will of course stay up online forever. So we can't talk about tomorrow morning, although every Thursday morning you do pop up with a new
Larry,
case.
I just want to say that if they see, thank God I've advertised in your paper, and they look at the ads, they just could go onto the QR code, or they could with their WhatsApp. They just send the WhatsApp to 516-506-9386. If they send the WhatsApp to that number, they'll be registered. We'll register them for the WhatsApp.
And they'll be in and they'll be part of the.
That's it. They'll be part of
the
it.
effort.
And like I said, there's no obligation. No one asks them for any dime. I'm looking for people with a lave tov. That's what I want. Okay.
Fantastic. So we're going to post that with the email address on the screen, and you could, if you're watching this, and it's not Thursday right now, then you just look for it in your WhatsApp group when you sign up any and every Thursday morning. Steve Savitsky, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Larry. Keep up your great work.
Yeah, you too. Kol tov. All the best.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Larry Gordon. This is Between the Lines, the electronic version of the 5 Towns Jewish Times. See you next time. Thank you.